And now we've made it to the final act of Trial of a Time Lord, the ultimate foe. Um, it was a The last story was a really rocky patch. This one is uh kind of odd. It starts strong but gets rocky towards the end, and there's a reason for it that you people need to understand. This story is weirdly put together, and here's why. When I did, now I've been mentioning, I mentioned in the prelude and even in a little in a Mysterious Planet. That was the last full script Robert Holmes actually ever did. Um, and I say full script because he was supposed to write all of Ultimate Foe. He got as far as the script part 1 and an outline of part 2 before he got dangerously sick and died. Pretty much before the production right when the production kind of started. So that left them in a pickle. Now, a little background on what they were supposed to do. Eric Sayward, who at this time was fed up with script editing and basically left around around when they started shooting, I think Mind Warp. I don't know. I'm hearing conflicting stories all around, but one constant thing to realize is he wanted to finish Robert Holmes' story under the condition that John Nathan Turner not change the ending. The ending he thought was a key part to the story. And he used the outline, wrote the script. Now, a key thing about it was going to end on a cliffhanger. There's a scene in the story where the Valeyard and the Doctor are fighting, and they both get sucked in the pit, and you don't know who's going to make it. And John Nathan Turner turned around from his promise and said, "I'm sorry, no." And he had two reasons: one good, one insanely stupid. The good reason was, okay, we had a 14-part story. The people who actually stayed along wanted to see where this ended, just to see it incomplete and have to wait months for it. No, we have to give them an ending. We made them wait for so long. Let's not do this. Why do I have a feeling that this might possibly happen with the Court of Owls story? But its other reason, which is the stupid reason, if we end on that, make it seem like that, then the BBC will have a reason to cancel it. That's just stupid because the guy who was in control of your show at the time, Michael Grade, wanted to cancel you anyway. If they wanted to cancel it, they can just cancel you. So that's a stupid defense. And they did it a few years later, but whatever. So Sayward was angry about this, walked off production with the copyrighted script and even the outline with him. So they had to make a new... And mind you, I think they were shooting part 1 already by the time this happened, because from what I'm reading. So they had to get Pip and Jane Baker, yes, the people who wrote the previous story, then featured walking vagina salads, and had them make up a part, but just make up, the conclusion. And I have to... It's not what Rob would have wanted, but it's serviceable to the first part at least. Okay. To be fair, their task was daunting, because this story, the part 1, builds up and almost seems like a sequel to Deadly Assassin in ways, because it's showing off the corruption of the Time Lords. That's where the Doctor has this speech about how the Time Lords are completely corrupt, and how all the evils he's facing are mere children compared to it. Just put him through the ringer. The Valeyards exposed as the Doctor in between his 12th and final incarnation. A lot of stuff is info dumped. Little subtle things like I didn't mention it a lot, but the Matrix being edited, and what was Glitz and Dibber's whole point, where Glitz does come back. Good to see him. Mel even comes back, and basically part one is just this giant opening to the final act. It's like the big start to the final act of it, and it leaves you with a lot of plot threads that you have only one 30-minute part to resolve. Really big. For a modern kind of example, look at Silence in the Library. The way that ended. That ended with River Song and her team running away from hungry shadows, while the companion's face was attached to a really fancy rock fixture saying she's been saved. And we're also still curious of what the hell this little girl is. All these insane plot threads that you're curious how they're going to end it. Now imagine if Moffat, for one reason or another, could not do it. And we gave it to the guy who wrote Fear Her. Yeah. We've all seen that guy working under pressure. He sucks at it, and he probably would have made a horrible, horrible conclusion. Pip and Jane, again, managed to service it, but here's the thing. Here's a negative here. A lot of that, the one thing that they just kind of drop, only because they wanted to have the fairy tale ending, was the whole, yeah, you know that part about the Time Lord being corrupt? They ditch it completely. Yeah, they leave it to the fact that, everyone's been kicked off, and they'll probably elect new people, and the Inquisitor will be in charge, and all that. Yeah, but that's just too clean, and it didn't. That deserved a better payoff than simple. Let's forget it. Have the Doctor deal with the Valeyard. Boom, bam, boom. We're done. And the story it starts out incredibly strong, but due to circumstances, I kind of forgive it for being weaker. They had to make this completely out of the blue. They had no reference. Because again, Sayward took the outline. So they had to make this up completely by scratch, and again, it is by no means, I think, something Robert Holmes would have really wanted, but as an end, it's serviceable. Part 1's an amazing episode. Part 2 is it's okay thing. God, performances. I liked everyone in this. I didn't find any real weak performances. The Valeyard finally had a chance to, he was owning the trial stuff. I didn't mention it too much, but he had to just stand there and command scenes. Here, he's doing stuff. He's being physical. He comes off much more like a threat. There's a picture I used, at least in the prelude video, I might use it here, where he's standing and he looks so much like a samurai because of his belt flowing. It kind of makes you think he has a sword. He has this graceful look to him, but he's insanely dangerous. It is. I don't know how much of it was writing, but I do also think a good chunk of it was, Michael Jaston, the actor who played him, put a lot of performance in it. Baker is on top as all. He's usually pretty good. Here in Mind Warp, I think kind of are tied for his best performance. Here he's just completely paying attention to it and working it, making it, showing you it's a serious thing, and he's great. It's good to see him work along with Glitz again. Supporting cast, for the most part, is pretty good. So, I think it ends well. This story, again, the last part surprised me because it was actually pretty good, but that's just because I was knowing what I've seen from these writers already. I was not expecting anything. So maybe that's why. Maybe my expectations were so low that I was pleased. But It's also sad that this is technically Holmes's last thing, but Holmes's last script definitely was not a dud. It was great. Now, if he would have ended like Mysterious Planet was an okay place to end. Part one of this story, an amazing script, great, kept my attention the entire time. Glad he ended on that, because if he didn't do any of these two, that means his last story would be the two doctors, and that would rub me the wrong way. So, a very decent conclusion. We'll cover Trial as a whole in a video soon.